Folks, welcome back to Beer and Business. Today is Thursday, August 1st. I can't believe it's August. This is Jake.
This is John.
And we're joined in the studio today by Darren Flanagan from Launch and Go and Joe Domaleski from
Hello, everybody.
Fried Creative. So, Joe, welcome to the show. Today, our topic is crafting. See what I did there, Mr. Winnie? Crafting your business brand with Joe. And we're going to get to him in a little bit. But before we get down to business, gents, what do we need to do?
I know this.
You got it? What is it?
I'm kind of thirsty.
Yes,
Yeah.
we should have a beverage. So we're starting the show off today with the official beer of the Beer and Business podcast, Jailhouse Brewing. We are drinking 30 to Life, a Pilsner.
Ooh.
Nice.
So shall we, boys?
4.5%.
Yeah,
Right.
that is actually session territory. So, Mr. Joe, you're drinking a Baptist beer there.
I am. It's some kind of sparkling water my wife likes. I am non-alcoholic.
And we have absolutely no problem with that.
Absolutely.
In fact, Mr. Winnie's quite excited because it just leaves more for him in the distribution channel.
Indeed, it does.
Well, this is a nice, I'd say almost hazy golden Pilsner.
Mm-hmm.
God, look at how bad I am at pouring. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you're watching online, you can see that these gents have poured the perfect pint, and mine's, really angry.
It's too aggressive, man.
Let's do the pagan ritual. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
We're never going to live that down now. Tammy's put that in my mind forever that we're pagans.
Especially since my brother-in-law's a pastor and listening.
Oops. It's only for show. So we are drinking the official beer of the Beer and Business podcast, Jailhouse Brewing, and we wanted to cover a couple of events. Now, by the way, you don't have to wait for an event to go there. You can just go to the brewery anytime, have a frosty one, get a tour.
When it's open.
Yeah, when it's open.
Preferably.
So make sure you check. Don't go there at 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday. If so, you've got problems.
Exactly, yeah.
But a couple events we want to cover this Saturday, the 3rd. We talked about this last week, Mr. Winnie. We're 2 days away from what?
I don't know.
Dude, 550.
Oh, yeah, I know. The release.
Yeah, I thought you were going to read the notes.
No.
For once?
He told me last night, he's like, I promise I'm going to read the notes. And yeah. This Saturday, new beer release, 550. We talked about it last week. Fantastic beer. One of my favorite IPAs, and it's just double everything. Double the fruit, hops, and alcohol content. Live music from Mixed Tribe, 7 to 9 p.m. Yes. So you can get the beer all day long, but the live music starts Saturday night.
But don't drink 550 all day long. It won't end well.
No, it will not. Sunday will be terrible.
Yeah.
And then next Thursday, August 8th, they've got a really cool event, Beer and Business.
What?
Yeah. So networking over a beer. If you're looking for a client, a new employee, just anybody that you want to make a connection with, you can go to like one of those boring business networking events, or you can come to Beer and Business at Jailhouse Brewing, and that's the way I'd recommend it. It's a lot of fun.
Maybe someday we can have one when I'm actually there.
Yeah, what is going on?
I'm on a vacation this week.
Oh, I got to go on vacation. I'd rather go on vacation than go to the brewery. Okay, I see. I get it. Your family's a little bit more important than Beer and Business.
Yeah.
Whatever. So if you'd like to come out to that, we're gonna be out there.
Is I can take some Jailhouse Brewing with me.
Yes, you can. You can load your cooler.
Good thing this isn't live. His wife would be calling him right now.
Well, she's going to talk to him afterwards. So that's August 8th from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. Be there or be triangular. And then Friday of next week, the 9th of August, they have trivia night from 7 o'clock to 9. So visit our friends at jailhousebrewing.com. You can look them up on social. We'll link to them. And we do look forward to seeing you out there for Beer and Business next week. And we are coming to you not live, from the new Beer and Business podcast studio at Launch and Go Workspace. And we've talked about this many times, but you can actually come out here and rent this studio and record your own podcast. And we actually did our first one. We had our first client come in and record a podcast, and we gave them all the support on the back end.
Nice.
They had no idea where to start, and we helped them. So if you're looking to record a podcast in the Atlanta area, come down and use the studio. State-of-the-art equipment, microphones, mixers, know-how, technical, businessy, smart stuff to help you out, whatever.
Mr. Winnie's chair.
You can sit in Mr. Winnie's chair.
And awesome seat cushions.
Yes, they're actually quite comfortable. So, and speaking of Launch and Go Workspace, Mr. Darren Flanagan, do you have some events coming up?
We got a couple. Pretty much the same as we mentioned last week. So next week on August 7th, which is a Wednesday, from 9 to 10 a.m., we've got 1 million cups. Come on out to enjoy that. It's free.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool event to see smart, forward-thinking entrepreneurs. So they pitch an idea, and they're looking for support, and it's really fascinating. You should come out if you've got the time. It's really cool.
We have 2 great sponsors for that, for food and coffee.
Is the coffee vendor bitter?
It is bitter.
She must be that bitter bitch coffee.
Oh, boy.
I really got to try this stuff.
I can't wait. I
need to come just to try the coffee.
That's it. That's it. And then the edibles will be from Highland Bakery.
Very cool.
So
edibles from a bakery.
There we go.
And we want to remind you guys, if you're listening, subscribe, please. And we're not going to charge you anything. It's free dollars. And we are securely hosted by Overwatch Technology. So if you download our stuff, follow us on social, go to our website. We're not going to be dropping like stupid little malware gremlins and other crap on your computer, because we are secured by one of the best technology companies around. And if you are a business that has computers, you need to call these guys, because there's a lot of crap that can get on your computer and totally wipe your business out.
Those Russians are sneaky.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah, including underneath Starcourt Mall, apparently.
Yes, they are. Stranger
don't ruin
things.
it for me. Don't ruin it for me.
I got through it, so I know how it ends. Yeah. Man. And we've got a tech tip this week from Overwatch, Mr. Darren, and it's something that happened in the news, right?
It is. It is. So if you're not aware of this, and you probably are, millions of Capital One customers were affected by a data breach that they say happened back in March.
And they're just now getting around to telling us.
Of course. Well, it takes time.
Needed some time to get their PR messaging
They needed to
right.
be sure.
The branding.
Yes. Yes.
So they said that approximately 1 million people in the United States and 6 million were affected. 6 million in Canada were affected. But they said that only about 140,000 Social Security numbers and 80,000 bank account numbers were compromised.
I like how they say only. I'm using air quotes if you're not watching.
So what they're going to do, and this is kind of a little tech tip for you, the bank says it's going to notify everybody, but what you should do, go check your account, check all your accounts, make sure everything is still in order, look for little charges that they, if somebody's trying to tweak it, and look for that little anomaly of something starts out like $1.95 and it happens a couple times, because usually they'll start small, and if there's no pushback and they can get away with it, next thing you know, you get hit with a big charge. But so check your accounts, change your passwords. We've discussed that before. And then if you're really afraid of it, freeze your credit. And so you can contact the credit bureaus and freeze your credit. That way, if anybody tries to pull your credit, it will not happen.
Yeah,
will not happen.
That's a great tip. This actually happened to me a couple years ago. Somebody got a hold of my wife's credit card number, and they didn't go out and do crazy stuff. It was like $10 here, $5 here, and it was just happening under the radar. And at the end of the month, I'm like, man, we spent a lot of money this month. And lo and behold, the bank called us. They found some charge that seemed weird. And then when we went back and looked at it, it had been going on for like a month and a half, and we didn't even recognize it. So yeah, it's if you have a Capital One account, I'd be looking at it if I was you, just kind of saying.
So
all right, well guys, our topic this week is something that I'm really excited about, and I'm actually surprised it's taken us 37 episodes to get to a topic that I'm so passionate about, and that is brand. So Joe Domaleski started a company called Country Fried Creative, and we'll get into that, but expert on marketing and branding. And I wanted to give you guys a quick statistic to kind of tee up this conversation. So I'm sure you guys probably know this, but emotion is a really important part of a business's name and of their brand. So people, and you've seen this before, like there are certain brands that you see that evoke emotion in you, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. But did you know that 90% of all purchasing decisions are made subconsciously?
No.
Well, they are, and that makes it vital for.
Well, I do now.
That's the way it is.
Okay.
I'm telling you, Darren. Okay, that's what this is. I'm telling you. You got it?
That wasn't a question.
No, yeah. Well, it was kind of a question. It was rhetorical. Damn it! I'm telling you something. So
Big word once again. Here goes the rhetorical stuff all over again. Thanks.
So yeah, 90% of purchasing decisions are subconscious, and it makes it vital for companies to choose names and brands that evoke positive emotion.
Right.
And did you also know that 91% of consumers said that they're more likely to buy from an authentic brand versus a dishonest brand, or what they
Who
perceive
is-
to be dishonest?
Perceive. I was going to say, who are those 9% that just want to buy from?
But notice
Shady
here,
companies.
it's not honest versus dishonest. It's authentic. The way that the it's phrased, and that you may think about that and say, "Oh yeah, well that makes perfect sense," but it also means that you're not overextending yourself, creating an image that you can't then deliver on.
Right.
So being authentic is really teeing up your brand in a way that you can deliver on. So brand is critical, but I think a lot of small businesses and even medium businesses, and Joe, I'd love to get your thoughts on this as we go through it, but I think a lot of people think about brand as logo, stationery, colors, and kind of it stops there. But brand is so much deeper than that.
So much more.
So I'm excited to talk about that. But before we get into the meat of the conversation, Joe, welcome to the show. We really appreciate
thanks,
you coming.
guys.
I'd like to know a little bit about Joe Domaleski. So tell us about your background. Where are you from, and how'd you get here?
Well, I woke up and there I was. No,
I was born.
I was born in Kentucky, but for all practical purposes, from age 6 months on, I have been here in the Atlanta area. Spent most of the time in the Stone Mountain area, and married into Fayette County. Yeah, it's been a long, strange trip to get here in a podcast with a bunch of cool guys drinking beer. My background is technical.
Yep.
And, is owning a web design company for years, that was mostly a technical endeavor. And I actually kind of had to learn marketing and hire marketing people to kind of round that out. I worked for IBM. After I got out of business school, I've got an MBA from Georgia State, go Panthers. Was picked up by IBM as a software project manager, and this thing called the Olympic Games showed up in 1996. Were you guys in Atlanta in 96?
I wasn't.
No.
Okay. Well, it was huge.
Oh yeah.
And we still have the Centennial Olympic Park
Yes,
to
we do.
kind of commemorate that. But
I heard it was a big thing.
it really was, including a bomb that went off. But we won't talk about that.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, back then it was all about software and technology and stuff, and we pulled that project off. That was one of the largest websites ever built at the time, and learned a lot about it, and continued to kind of grow through that environment, and really got to be a point of I'm making a lot of money, but there's got to be more to life.
I want to go back, though, because I want to make sure we give you props for something and give you thanks. You also served our country.
Thank you for mentioning that. I don't walk around and talk about it a lot. I'm a Desert Storm vet, airborne, Ranger, infantry, did all that stuff. Proud to serve the country, and good to be home, and appreciate all those that continue to serve.
Well, we appreciate you,
Absolutely.
and thank you for what you did.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Jumping out of airplanes and
Airborne.
right into danger's path, man.
Rangers lead the way.
That's right. So you spent a lot of time at IBM. So what you were doing? What were you doing? Project management or web development?
A lot of people don't know this about me, but my MBA is actually in finance. I've got a computer math dual degree. Was a nerd. I had a little propeller hat. I used to like to wear. I still probably have it in a closet somewhere. I can still do calculus with the best of them. IBM, I was doing cost analysis on software projects, which, you know,
that's sexy.
It was. I was a chick magnet, and let me tell you, you know, let me pull out the slide rule and impress you. Now, we had calculators back then. I may be old, but we had calculators. And, you know, this thing called the web came around, and, you know, they needed financial impact, risk analysis, ROI, all the good stuff on web projects, and that's how I got started. But along the way, I learned how to code in HTML and do the skills. And I'm to this day a big believer. The best leaders are the ones that can actually practice the craft. They don't just tell other people what to do, but, you know, it's kind of like being a soldier. Everybody has a weapon and knows how to use it.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. So you were actually doing like financial assessment back in the freaking Wild West.
Yeah, it was.
That was nuts back then.
Well, it was, and you know, we had an economic boom in the '90s, and to be honest, the phone just never stopped ringing off the hook. So, you know, yes, there was marketing and sales, but it frankly, whether you were a large company or a small company, you were taking orders.
Yeah.
People were lining up, we're hiring, we couldn't hire fast enough. If you could fog a mirror and you knew how to spell HTML, you're on the team. Put on a suit, you're part of IBM, go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was back in the day when
it really was.
The dress code, the white shirts. And the
wool suits, white shirts, silk ties every day. It doesn't matter if it's 100 degrees or 0, wherever you're at.
Yeah, that was back when companies would walk in with like 3 bags of money for a website, and it's like, if that's not enough, we got more bags in the car, guys.
Yeah.
The first project after the Olympics I managed was $2 million, which was small for IBM, but you know, I'm in my 30s, and it's like, manage this $1 million project. And you know, back to the corporate uniform, you know, we're all dressed casually in here. I'm wearing flip-flops and shorts, and I said, someday when I'm my own boss, I'm going to wear what I want.
That's nice. Brilliant, isn't it?
Part of being authentic.
Disappointed, though. I really was looking forward to the Dunkin' Donut sneakers.
You know, next time, and what Darren's talking about, I am well known for, you know, I live a pretty open life in social media and work and play. You know, I'm the donut dad, and I should have brought you guys some donuts. I didn't know how donuts would work with beer. So
fantastic.
For the record. Next time,
donuts.
We'll have a part 2.
Yes.
And like Star Wars, it'll be better. And, you know, and I'll wear the donut shoes. I do. I own a pair of Saucony running shoes. Dunkin' Donuts is headquartered in Boston, so they commemorate the Boston Marathon, and they've got donuts all over them. I wore it to a presentation.
My God, I've got to have these freaking shoes.
No, he did. Yeah. He had them on.
I did.
You came in here and spoke.
That's right. I spoke. I had on a jacket, a button-down shirt, and donut shoes.
Kind of your trademark. That's awesome.
It kind of is. Yeah. But I decided to go. It's a little bit warmer now, so you know, we're going to go with flip-flops.
That is awesome. Cool. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about your entrepreneurship. So you were working at IBM, working on these big projects, but at some point you started to think about stepping out on your own. So what was that like for you? How did you come to the decision to start a business? You know, how risky was it for you? Walk us through that.
Well, you know, real quick, a word about me, and folks that know me know this about me. I will do anything once. Until 3 days ago, I didn't know Jake. So, you know, a little bit of trust. We had some friends in common. Okay, come on the podcast. Let's do it. And, you know, you know, jump out of an airplane. Yeah. You know, go run a marathon. Yeah, let's do it. We'll do anything once. So, I think, you know, for me, you know, being an entrepreneur is not about the money. You know, need to provide a living, need to be able to pay the bills. For me, it became a quality of life thing. I was making a ton of money, and even 20 years ago, a lot more money then than I do now. But I have a beautiful wife, three wonderful kids. I never saw them. They were young. Where's Dad? He leaves on the plane Sunday night. He comes back, you know, Friday night, Saturday morning, sits at a soccer game, and then he gets on a plane again. Started to, you know, hey, I might be able to do this myself, and you know, be home more for the kids.
Yeah, very good.
So that's really how I got started. I just wanted to be, you know, a better dad.
In control.
Yeah.
So when you'd made that jump, when you took that leap and said, I'm going to do this, what'd your wife say?
You know, we've got a great relationship, at first, what? She was a stay-at-home mom, so hey, we got a lot of money in the bank, and on paper, there's the numbers. It looks good, and I've got a business degree. I'm an expert in business, and we can pull this thing off. But yeah, I think it was shock. I wrote a business plan. I sat on it for a year. I floated the idea. Hey, Darren, if I open this kind of business, would you hire me? If so, why? If not, why not? And I did. I did that for a year in the local community, and I thought, okay, this thing can get off the ground. And it's really simple as that. I think many people rush into it. I hate my job. I'm going to start a business. Take a deep breath, ease into it. Now, I will say I went cold turkey. I did not start it as a side gig. There's nothing wrong with that. There's multiple paths to success. But
sure. When
I came to the conclusion, I'm going to do this, I went to my supervisors, who was a VP of consulting there, and hey, I'm going to do this. Hey, I'll send business your way. You've been great here. And that's how I got started. 2003.
Wow, that's awesome. So your company is called Country Fried Creative, which I love the name, by the way.
Thanks.
So tell us about the story of starting that company, the name, and some of the high points as you've grown it to what it is today.
Your guest last week, said something. I want to just pick right up and carry it on. He was talking about his books and stories, and the stories get better over time, and I think that's true with a company or a brand.
Sure.
In 2003, I started as Southside Consulting Incorporated. How sexy is that?
That invokes no emotion.
Absolutely none whatsoever. It had a very nondescript logo.
It sounds like it was created by a finance guy.
It was. I picked a somewhat of an ambiguous name because, to be honest, even though I had a business plan, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And like many startup entrepreneurs, I'll do anything for a buck. And sometimes you have to do that. So we dabbled in a lot of things. I thought, okay, I'll have an umbrella organization and a brand, and just by brute sheer force will, I signed up some clients, and we all do that. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. We go to neighbors and colleagues, and hey, I've got this new business, and help me out, sort of thing. But it was an accidental brand, and that's its start. I kept it on life support and paid the bills and that sort of thing for a couple years, and then I bumped into another local company that many people knew. It long-standing reputation. It was somewhat in decline, called AIS Computers, and we decided to merge companies. And I became president of the combined company and part owner. The majority owner, became the CEO. I ran the thing, and we dabbled in even more things. So I even got more spread thin. And then came the recession.
Oh yeah, my favorite topic. Mm-hmm. Not.
Yeah, I like it. A dark time for many, and that would be a fun podcast topic. Is where were you during the recession, and what did you do to escape alive?
That's a great topic. That's exactly what I did.
I do a lot actually during the recession.
Yeah, it really for our business it clobbered us. At a time we had 30 employees. We actually had a Mac dealership. We were doing a lot of different things, and it caught our attention. I mean, it was so bad. We went a month. The phone didn't even ring once with a new customer inquiry. I mean, and we were just draining the bank account. And, I've shared this story in other forums. I almost lost my house, my wife, everything. It went down to the brink, got down to one employee. But we survived. But on the other side of that, it was like, we need to do something with the brand. And I got a circle of folks together. We sat in a conference room, and we walked out as Country Fried Creative.
I think that's awesome. By the way, that's a story that we need to unpack on another episode, because I love to hear comeback stories.
Yeah.
And sounds like you got a really good one to tell.
You know, at the hindsight, you know, it's now a war story, but at the time it really was survival. And I know, you know, folks out there listening to this, hats off, you're a recession survivor, no matter what you had to do to keep the lights on, keep the you know, the debtors at bay. But I got down to one employee. We came out of that and I'm like, we got to streamline, we got to focus, you know, what are we about? What do people say about us? What do we want people to say about us? And we went through that whole thing. We created the recipe, and then we did the first taste test on ourselves. So we do take our own medicine.
Yep.
Good.
So before we get into the brand topic, I actually wanted, you and I spoke the other day, and I thought you had some really interesting perspective, and I'd like you to share it with our audience. So you've kind of gone through all of it, right? You started a business, you then went into partnership.
Yeah.
You survived the recession, you rebranded, you came back out of it, but you've kind of been through all these different seasons of business ownership.
That's right.
And you got some really interesting philosophies on entrepreneurship and owning a business, and I'd like you to share those with us.
You know, I think, you know, sort of like a live music performance. You know, or you guys are music fans, right? You know,
Oh yeah.
yeah. You know,
We just don't like shitty music.
no. But you like authentic music.
Yes, we do.
Which is why most people like live music.
Yep.
And you know what?
Yep.
One of the things about live music, every performance is slightly different.
True.
Different playlist, different lineup, whatever. It's the same song, but, you know, and I think that's true, you know, with branding and what you're doing. I'm a real big believer in handcrafted solutions. And so, you know, one of the challenges with the entrepreneurship, you know, that we've struggled with, you know, at first it was just me incorporated, Southside Consulting, whatever that means. And you know what, if you want to buy it from me, I'm going to find a contractor or a partner or somebody else and do that. And, you know, over time, you kind of find where your strengths are and your weaknesses are. I'm not a big believer in fake it until you make it sort of thing. What I am a believer in is it's okay to extend yourself, but be authentic.
Yeah.
Most people will respect the fact that you're a startup and try to honor that. Mm-hmm. And we've always from the get-go, you know, kind of been that way. And I honestly believe, and it's cliched, but it's really part of our brand thing. You know, we're just out there to help people. It's not high pressure sales pitch. I don't have any quotas. I don't represent anything but us. We've stayed away from being a vendor or you know, pushing a particular thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just not our vibe. And so, you know, we can work with people wherever they're at, and I think that's been part of it since the beginning.
I actually really appreciate that, because when you and I were talking the other day, it's funny. So we actually kind of went through a very similar experience, because you're probably about 10 years older than me, so I'm a little bit behind you, but we made the decision to, you know, start a business. And like you, I was making ridiculous money, but I wasn't happy. I was traveling and I wanted to start a business. And when I did it, I told my wife, I said, hey, we don't know what the future is going to hold. I said, but even if I make a quarter of what I'm making now, this is what I want to do. And are you okay with that? And she was, you know, she was nervous because she didn't know what that meant. But, you know, for me, there was a couple of things that really drove the entrepreneurship. That number one was I did want to be more in control of my life. And that was a real critical thing for us. But, you know, the other thing that I've never even really verbalized it until you and I spoke about it. And that was, I did not like who I was. I was a different guy at work than I was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's being authentic.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's being, you know, I'm Jake. There's not
this is what you get.
Face I put on. It's me, and I think people respect that, and I think especially if you are a small local business, you're not going to get away with it. You know, I work for a larger company. I drive to the other side of the town or fly across the country. You can somewhat pull that off. You put on the armor, the suit, the whatever. Yeah. You take it off and you're back in your castle, your home, your keeper, your whatever. But here, whether I'm Whitewater High School booster club dad, which I am, go Cats, or business owner Joe, or chairman of the board, Joe. I was honored to be the Chamber of Commerce chair a few years back, or just Joe that wears donut shoes. It's still me, you know. I can be authentic.
Yeah. It's funny, man. You know, my wife and I have real estate business, and we'll go to do showings on a house, and, you know, normally real estate agents, you know, their guys are in suits, girls are dressed up, tons of makeup on. Man, I show up in shorts and a shirt and like, I'm gonna crawl around this crawl space for you. And I'm gonna tell you what, people really dig the fact that I'm not putting on a show. It's like, hey, this is who I am, take it or leave it. Yeah. When it comes to the negotiating table, I'm going to be playing 3-dimensional chess. I'll be 2 steps ahead of our competition on the other side. So they know I'm competent.
It's the roll up your sleeves. I'm gonna do hard work. I'm willing to crawl under the floor. Not I'll schedule somebody later to come at. No, you know, I'm here to make things happen.
Exactly. And that's just who I am. I mean, take it or leave it. And that's been a big part of this transition for me. Is I want the rest of my career just to be me. Like, I don't want there to be work me and other me. So I just really appreciated that conversation we had, because you helped me verbalize something that I hadn't really talked about before, but it was a big part of motivation.
And I think it's a relief. And I know some people, you know, one of the things that I also am a strong believer on, you know, there are multiple paths to the same destination. Okay. So the way that I do it fits me. It's authentic. It fits my lifestyle. It fits our brand. Fits everything. Other people need to be able to do it a little bit different. They need to work it a little differently, and they may have a different path to success, and however they define success. And some, you know, put dollar signs on it. I've never been that way, and I normally, when I'm talking to a prospective customer, I try to take money off the table. You know, as long as I'm not losing money, I can make a little money. We will try to help you, and if we can't, we'll tell you. We're not gonna overextend. And good stuff.
So let's transition and talk about brand. You know, that's really what our topic is.
That
today.
is our topic,
and I'm super stoked about it. So, Joe, you've got an interesting definition of brand. So, how do you describe brand?
You know, volumes have been written on branding.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, going back to big company consulting experience, I mean, you know, true story. You know, there were times where the work output was measured in pages.
Oh yeah,
not quality. I mean, okay, if somebody's paying $100,000 for a brand guide, they need to see 500 pages.
McKinsey,
yeah, you know, or IBM, or
a little cough there.
You know, KPMG or whoever. Yeah. So
a little tickle.
Yeah, little tickle there. So
20 more pages of filler. We gotta get paid all the way.
Yeah, or you know, that's not thick enough. You know,
exactly.
And so I think, and it, you know, and I hate to see this, but you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, that hard. Right. You know, at the end of the day, and you know, there's a couple little you know things. I'll share a few nuggets, and we can kick it around and expand on it. To me, it's the experience. Okay, my company name, Country Fried Creative. You know, some people, you know, what does that make you think of? You're a restaurant. Okay, you know, when we launched the brand, we did it at a business expo. I rented a diner counter. I put on a bow tie and a little hat like I was a soda jerk or something. It was very memorable. People remembered that. And to this day, when we're selling digital marketing services, I have a menu. Literally, it looks like a restaurant menu, and that's the takeaway. And so if you ever have a need,
that's awesome.
A to-go menu, pick up the menu and order off the menu. And, you know, little secret, and it's a menu. So it's, you know, 4 pages.
Relax,
2 pages.
There's no beer on it, Mr. Onions.
Yeah, that's okay. I didn't think there was.
Yeah, okay.
There's desserts on it, though. No donuts, though. Just desserts. Yeah,
donuts are on the shoes, folks.
Yeah, that's right. Janine designed it, and so she does drink beer. She's a connoisseur. So she's our creative director. So, you know, people look at that, but they quickly form an impression. You know, another little secret about that: most people don't order off the menu. They want the menu. They want to see that you've got all these things, and then they tell you what they really want.
I want the house special.
Yeah, I want the house special. Or can you do this and that and this? And
chef's recommendation.
Yeah, chef's special, the poo-poo platter, or whatever it is. No, we don't do poo-poo platter at Country Fried Creative. But internally, we talk about we'll whip something up in the Country Fried kitchen. Internally, our methodologies are called recipes. And internally, we say that, and it sort of, sticks to people. So, back to, branding, what is it? It's the experience internal and external. Most people focus on the external, but if you have employees or subcontractors or partners, they need to be bought into the vibe, and you got to play to that and hire to that and grow to that.
That's brilliant. And you know what? Going back to that authenticity thing, it can't be one of those things where you try to get people to drink the Kool-Aid. Like, they gotta wanna be a part of it.
Absolutely do. They gotta want it. And you know what? Another definition of brand is the vibe. It's how's it make you feel? Another famous quote about branding. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And they're all true. Mm-hmm. Darren, you've got a clever name. I've told you. I really think you're doing a great job of the marketing. You took some retail space that just sat here, and I mean, you've turned it into a launch and go, and you've got cool events and cool podcasts, and
thank you.
All kinds of cool things, and it's just an incredible idea, and you've created a brand. It's not a hot desk or a microphone or a USB port to charge your phone, but I mean, it's a workspace where cool things happen. So it's a brand.
Thanks.
So let's talk about this. You guys got any favorite brands?
Right now, I'm still relishing.
He's basking.
Yeah.
Well,
we got to get that on the camera there.
Slow down. He's got to get out the door. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Slow your roll, Joe, please.
Flushing.
Yeah. You guys got any brands that you guys really like? National brands?
As far as recognition,
No, just brands that you really connect
Jailhouse.
with. Yeah, Jailhouse. Yes, I love Jailhouse.
beer and business. I mean,
It's pretty awesome. I've got one, Harley Davidson. I love Harley Davidson. Not really because of the product, honestly. I mean, the bikes are nice, but it's emotional.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it is the experience. It's the community.
Thing.
You're right. It's everything.
Yeah, of course.
It's not the logo. Although, you see that logo everywhere. The logo is more for recognition.
The visual part, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it's the feeling. It's freedom. It's community. It's brotherhood.
That's why Starbucks can charge $6 for a cup of coffee. It's all about the brand.
I don't really like the Starbucks brand, but you're right.
I don't think it's
but it's powerful enough to make people pay $6 for a freaking cup of liquid.
Experience, yeah.
It's not beer.
It is, and Jake, you asked about national brands, but I'll just get this on the table. I am big pro small local business, right? So I will go out of my way to shop local, even if it means paying more money, because I know that I'm helping put somebody's kids in college or paying the bills and that sort of thing. So and I've even seen that with let's talk about beer. I mean the microbreweries and the that whole phenomenon. Let's talk about something else I know. Donuts. Okay, I got Dunkin' Donut shoes. They have the capacity to make running shoes with donuts, but around Atlanta area, there's some incredible donut shops that are local, and they make them to order right in front of your face, and it's like, this is the best stuff, handcrafted, and the whole brand.
The only reason why I want to bring up national brands is because those are some that people can connect with and then instantly recognize some of the emotions they may have towards them. Because I think that the whole point is, this is about the overall feeling, the emotion, the intangibles. We talked about the fact that 90% of purchasing decisions are,
they're emotional.
They're subconscious.
I got a local farm that I mean, down at the farmer's market, this woman, I go to get her eggs because I know her brand. I know what it means. I visualize it every time I see it because of what she does. And I'm like, yep.
It's authentic. In fact, we just signed up, maybe the same farmers market, I don't know, signed one up to do the marketing for us. So, I think back to the intangibles, and this is why I think one of the key points I want to impart on this podcast is keeping it simple and real. It is more than a logo, but we don't need to make it now you're a bigger company that, you got to implement the brand. So there's going to be activities and you got to measure all that and create all that. But
got to be some sort of governance, right?
Got to be some guideposts. But for a small business, which, I'm assuming most folks listening to this podcast probably fit in that category. And then if you're in a large organization and you're listening to this, simplifying things. Nobody has time to read a big branding guide and that sort of thing. Keeping to the key points. What do we want to impart with people? The vibe, the voice, those sorts of things.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So you've got 7 imperatives to brand that I want to go through.
Yeah, let's do that. And just so folks know, again, it's part of my style. I walked in here with no notes. Jake and I have just met. Joe, I need some notes ahead of time, dude. Okay, I'll give you some notes. I make a lot of people, nervous. I'll come in and it's just part of me. I also think part of branding. Now you got to have a script to kind of guide the podcast, and the script here is wonderful. Enough detail to keep it going, but not enough to suffocate. So I would just.
It's simple enough for Mr. Winnie to read it.
And
then he doesn't.
And it's big enough I can read it without my readers. I really, I didn't want to age myself. Okay, there's Uncle Joe here. He can't even read the paper.
Well, we got Darren with his trifocals too, so we got.
That's right, but he's got them off. They're off. It's on camera.
Big enough. I skimmed the notes. I didn't read them all the way.
And again, I'm always very candid, so I'll just caveat. I'm going to express an opinion. Not trying to step on anybody's toes. I say that's the wrong way to do it or whatever. But I'll just add, impart a thought. How does it make you feel, listeners, when somebody comes up to the stage to give a presentation and they're just reading from a book?
No bueno.
Yeah. No authenticity.
Yeah, no authenticity.
Or, teleprompter or whatever.
Yeah, or reading it wrong, or again, dating myself. I know so many people. And I don't play music. Lip sync. Milli Vanilli. Girl, yes, yes, it's. Now everybody's going to be singing that.
It's about time to open a second beer. Isn't it?
I know.
We went to Milli Vanilli.
I was listening to 80s, driving over here, and that came on, and I was like, okay, I got to work this in here, but no, what's that got to do with beer and branding? Well, a lot. That wasn't very authentic, but it doesn't make you feel good, especially you go to, okay, this is a marketing conference, and they're just reading out a book. Now there are times when you need to read somebody's biography or get facts and figures right. Jake, you started the podcast with some data, and you need to get it right, and that's cool. But when somebody sits up, I was in a local presentation, and the we won't name names. Person speaking was just literally reading word for word, and everybody starts looking at their watch and stuff like that, and. Yeah. She called up a guest speaker who's actually a friend of mine. I didn't know he was going to be there. I was just in the audience trying to support the thing going on. Totally off the cuff. And so-and-so's here, what are your thoughts? And he just grabbed the microphone, pulled it out of the podium, and just walked around and had everybody's undivided attention. And, thanks. Boom. And then handed the mic back, and then it was womp, 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 womp. And, that's not very authentic. Now, I know what the intention was. It was, I want to be polished and professional and whatever. And It's okay to do that and not be confined by a script. And so, when you're crafting your brand, you need some guideposts, some words, some actions, but don't script it, because you want to impart an experience. An experience is unique each time. You want consistent elements, but the meal I create for you today is going to be slightly different than the meal I create tomorrow.
This is a side question for you. Have you ever had a potential client and you're sitting down with them and you just, there is nothing coming together, and they're like, still want you, Joe. We like your company. And you're going, no, I can't.
That actually happened Tuesday. I had to think about what day it is. It is Thursday, right? Let me check my watch. I've got everything turned off, so that the phone doesn't go off in the podcast. we had been asked to respond to a website redesign project, and a very large local nonprofit, or we do a lot of work with nonprofits, and love them, and sit on a couple of their boards and whatnot. Yeah, sure, I'll be happy to respond to it. And they sent this thing. It was very reasonable. I could detect in the RFP document some disconnect, but okay, I'm going to go with it. Hey, Joe, you made the final round. Will you come make a pitch? Yeah, be happy to. Is there anything in particular you want to hear? Whatever. No, just come and pitch. And walked in the room. Everybody's arms are crossed, and they wanted a dog and pony show. Okay, I can do that. I can juggle. I can tell jokes and do whatever. This was a faith-based nonprofit, so got to be a little strict. I did wear the donut shoes though.
Yes.
I didn't wear flip-flops. I wore long pants.
I believe God invented sense of humor, so that's totally fine.
God has the best sense of humor,
yeah.
Right? And I really believe that. I mean, look at us, right? Look at human beings. We are pretty crazy. And
he made women, and he made them hard to get. I mean, that's hilarious, isn't it? That's well done, sir.
Yes, sir. So I make the pitch, and we get to the very end of it. And one of the people at the table, everybody was a VP of something. I don't know what VP of this ministry and that. Okay, so all these VPs, and we got to the end, and he threw a questionnaire. How are you going to handle X? And I was like, that actually wasn't in the RFP. We can handle it. That'd be extra. And, you would have thought I had broke wind in there, or, Jesus came back right then and there. And, well, I think that's an important part of the project. I said, it may be, but it wasn't in your RFP. So the guy who wrote the RFP is in the room. Yeah, we talked about, he's talking to his colleague. Yeah, we talked about this. That's on us. And, it's a big part of a web project is who's actually going to be creating the content. We either do it or you, and we just turn it away, whatever. So there was a little bit of awkwardness at the end. But anyway, okay, we're out of time. See y'all later, that sort of thing. They're supposed to make a decision in a week. It got day before I reached out to the guy. Hey, it was a little bit weird. Is y'all need any? Oh, no, it's between you and another vendor. I'm like, oh, okay. And another encouragement to entrepreneurs out there, you will eventually get to the point where you can turn business away. Mm-hmm. That is so liberating. Yes. When you can say, Jake, you got a great business model. We're not the best firm for you. It's very powerful. Until you get there, you're like, I got a mortgage payment coming up. I've got to close this, and we're all there.
Jake, he's just saying that. He doesn't really mean it.
That's right. An example. You're just an example.
I can't wait until I'm at that point.
Uh-huh.
And it is. And I learned this.
Not doing business with you, I mean.
No,
you'll get to the point to be able to turn it away.
Everybody wants to do business with me.
They're lining up outside. I see them wrapped around the camera can't cover all that.
Mr. Winnie's not saying anything.
I turn business away all the time.
Yeah.
So, we want to make everybody feel welcome, but, that is very liberating. I actually learned that. I need to give him a shout out. I've had a lot of mentors. Rich Hoffman owns Hoffman Tires in Fayetteville. He's been in business 40 years. Wow. He's on Fayetteville, City of Fayetteville Town Council. Great guy. He told me that once. He's also a personal friend. He's been putting tires on my car for 20 years. And I said, I had to turn this guy away, and I didn't want to. And he said, Joe, it's nice. He said, I don't put tires on everybody's car either. When you get to that point, you've kind of made it, no matter how much is in the bank. But so anyway, so this nonprofit called me on Tuesday and said, hey, you weren't selected. And okay, actually, Joe, we didn't select anybody. And I went,
okay.
That actually doesn't surprise me. Let me guess, you guys don't know what you want. And he said, that's it in a nutshell. I said, you got some homework, to do. And I picked up on just that one thing, but it's okay. And you might actually want to break this project up. He said, funny you mentioned that. We may be doing that. We may do a separate branding thing. And then it turns in, I said, that's the way to go. Don't rush into that. So, back to your point, it is okay to sometimes, say no, but I'm always polite about it. The other little, tidbit, and I was actually sharing this with another person this morning. with regard to doing, business with people. I think one of the hardest lessons I've ever learned is you can do everything right. The price is right. You do everything they've asked. You might even do a little bit more than's asked, and they're still not happy.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's hard.
Why'd you look at me, Darren?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I used him as a buffer. I was
as a buffer. He leaned over. Yeah.
You were my filter right there. Something was going to come out of my mouth that I was going to say that doesn't involve anyone in the room, somebody else far away.
Did we just avoid the F tree again?
Oh, we avoided. We avoided the X tree.
Yeah. So you guys know. I mean, in work and in personal life, you can do all the right things, and it's still. And some people don't want to be happy, and so when you're crafting your brand, do so in such a way that you generally attract the people that you want to do business with, and you don't have to put up fly repellent, but factor in how do I keep out what I don't want to work on. So if you don't want to get into pricing battle, don't lead with price.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is really important because in the imperatives that we talked about, so authenticity was really important, but you also talked about target. And I think this is really critical because especially target audience.
Yeah.
Not target the store, target audience.
Yeah.
No, that's Target.
That's right.
Exactly right. I didn't say it the French way. But kind of similar along those lines, right? I think a lot of businesses in their incubator stages try to be all things to all people because they can't.
I was myself, yeah.
But at some point, you got to start to figure out, who are you talking to? Who is your brand really going to resonate with? Because to think that any brand's going to resonate with everybody is a fallacy, right?
And you don't want to be all things to all people. Nobody can measure up to that. And even if you're all things to a small group of people, you're still not going to make some people happy. So, it's very typical. I was there myself. I'm going to throw spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. It's okay to fail early and often and revise the formula. Generally speaking, for our business, I'll give something a shot for 90 days, even if it's flat for 90 days. Come on, I got to get, if I can keep going, let's see what's going to happen. But don't be afraid to kill something off or hand it off. And I did that when I got out of, one aspect of business. Hey, Darren, I don't really want to do this anymore. You can have these clients. And, okay. And I've done that with business. I've had people do that. I don't like being a web designer anymore. I'm going to go back to work for Coke. Here's 10 clients. Now, oftentimes when that happens, I start calling them. They weren't real clients. Oh, we didn't do business with them in 3 years. And that's okay. That's okay. But you've got to know your target audience because you can't just shoot around. And you just start shooting around. You'll hit a few things, but time is precious. So you've got to maximize your efforts.
How long did it take you? Now you come out of the conference room, which is probably now called the kitchen.
That's right. Yeah.
At that point in time, and you said you became more focused.
Focused, yeah.
And so I'm assuming you probably had more of a target audience as well when you came out of that meeting. How much has that changed over from 2008 till now? What is that, 11 years? So how much has your target audience gotten a lot smaller? Has it broadened? Has it deviated a little bit from when you walked out of that meeting to now?
That's an excellent question. And this is going to be a generalization. For the most part, I have three types of clients, and I didn't write that down on paper. We're going to go after these three niches. We started doing our thing. And things kind of landed in three piles, if that makes sense. We cast a net, and certain kind of fish fell into the net. There's one type of client, and this is accurate as of today. That how fast can you build a website and how cheap?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that anybody who has a service business, okay, a service-oriented business, pricing, which is part of branding, that's always a challenge. You want to help them, but you need to keep the lights on. We created something called Country Fried Express about 3 years ago, which is the no frills, pay by month. We'll build you a website, host it, take care of it, do everything. It appeals to a startup or somebody cash flow challenged. The traditional way that we used to be, so that's one category, a budget-minded nonprofit, small business entrepreneur, whatever. And
so does your business owner, is their job title short order cook on that one, or?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
He's taking that.
I might take that. Yeah, I like that.
Here's a beer business pen. Write it down.
That's right. Hey, thank you.
Just send the royalty checks to www.beer.business. Yeah,
that's awesome. It took me quite a few years to be in a position financially where I could do that, because I'm front-ending the development costs, but I'm spreading that over a year.
Yeah.
And we rolled that out about 3 years ago, and it's been wildly successful. So that that's one niche, and just kind of fell into it. How hey, we keep getting inquiries. I don't want to turn them away. And I don't want them to have to use a website builder. And you got to start somewhere. And I sometimes tell people they don't have any money, just use one of these free website generators. Bad breath is better than no breath, right? There's another little factoid. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Although, Joe's corollary to that, sometimes it can be so stinky you kill everybody, and within a 50 yard radius. So be careful with that. The other one, this is the traditional model with a service business, is time and materials. It's what we did at IBM, and I did some work with IBM Business Partners. You add it all up. It's a bottom up. It's, this many people, this many hours, this many pages, this many images, this many, whatever, this much bandwidth on a server, et cetera, and so on. And that's a project, has a finite begin and end. And that's hard for a small company to pull off, because you're getting paid incrementally. And then if you're dealing with a big company, they're not always quick to pay. And so, but we do have some of those, and we do the City of Fayetteville's website, for example, government agency, and we've got nonprofits and other ones. The third category, which is relatively new to us, but it's probably been a win-win for everybody, is when a company says, "Hey, we want you to be the marketing department. You do it all. You do the branding, the logo, the website, the social media, the print, the advertising, the analytics, and for the cost of one employee who may just know what they are and not be able to execute. I can put my 10 people. I have 10 people. You get the whole team, and we have specialists that can do all this. And so back to your question, I was not deliberate about that. I was deliberate about, this is what we know how to do. Let's go out there and tell people we know how to do. And it just kind of came back into those buckets. So it is a give and take of what do you want to be and what does the market want?
Yep. I see your eyes darting around the room in a panic, and I think it's because your glass is empty, Mr. Darren.
Mr. Winnie's he's so calm right now. He's been sitting there for a lot longer than I have.
It's because he has power over the beer.
I wanted to push your glass closer to you.
Just to nudge us.
What is this?
This is Jailer. This is our second beer today. This is actually an India Red Ale. This is part of the
wow, pretty can.
Judge, Jury, Jailer, Executioner series. I think it's 4, right? Am I missing one, Mr. Winnie?
We had the Judge,
Jury,
Jailer, Executioner. I think that's it. Yeah,
that's
4,
correct.
Right? But this is an interesting one. I don't know that I've had this. I know Mr. Winnie has, because he previewed one yesterday.
That's right. Yeah, by accident.
Yes. I was a little bit jealous. Oh, look at that. It's very red.
Pour it right this time.
So, Joe, while we're sitting here pouring a delicious jailhouse beer, one of the things I think is interesting and important for businesses to understand is that brand not only can but should iterate. It's not perfect on day one, and it should evolve over time.
Yeah, and just kind of going back to our evolution, Southside Consulting, with a nondescript logo,
with a Texas Instruments calculator.
They must have been knocking the door down for that.
Yeah, it was the geek aesthetic, and it evolved over time, and we're constantly enhancing the brand. And I'll toast
Cheers,
with
boys.
my sparkling water. There we go.
Indian Red Ale folks.
nothing wrong with that.
doing this.
And a lot of times people will, okay, we need to relaunch or tweak our brand. That's a very common thing, and you should do that. And
Rebranding.
that's right. You don't have to start from scratch. We actually redid our own logo last year. I'm wearing it on a hat, and but you can look at it and know it was just like it was, previously. It's the successor to it, and so you don't have to start from scratch. It iterates. It gets better. Back to your guest last week. The story gets refined and better over time.
And I think the other thing too is whether or not somebody's even conscious of it, they have a brand. Whether you've spent
no
time on it or
brand
not.
is a brand, and I'll use another funny show from the '90s. Seinfeld. Everybody likes
my
Seinfeld.
favorite.
Yeah. The Soup Nazi. What was his brand?
No soup for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he had the best, I think it was shrimp bisque, if I remember correctly. And people were willing to stand in line for it, and you abided by his rules. It wasn't customer comes first. Quite the contrary. You're going to get what I serve. I serve the best. And that was his brand.
And that actually was a true story.
It was. A lot of those Seinfeld episodes based on a true story. Now, there's actually an organization, I don't have any business relationship with them, but, I always give shout outs when I see, that's great branding or that's great marketing. My wife's a vegetarian. I'm not. I eat meat and potatoes and
Yes.
good stuff.
If God didn't want us eating animals, he wouldn't have made them so delicious.
Thank you. I'm with you, all the way. And her brother, the preacher, actually has a side gig, cooking barbecue. So we get along great. But she's a vegetarian. So there's this company, and they started with social media marketing, and it's really a case study. The name of the restaurant, they're in West Side at Atlanta, The Slutty Vegan. I'm not kidding. Look it up. Look at their
I've
thing.
heard of that.
Okay, you have, because
Oh God.
it's two young African American women, and every day it's an hour wait or more. It's walk up counter service. It's been going like that since last fall. We thought it was died down. We drove by a couple weeks ago and saw the line and drove away. I mean, it's their brand. And look at their Instagram feed. Look them up on Facebook. Go to West Side Atlanta and drive by. All branding, because it's just vegetarian food.
Right.
It's called the Slutty Vegan. So it reminded me of the Soup Nazi. This is what we're going to serve, but it's popular. Yeah. No brand is a brand.
I think that, so one of your imperatives in brand is experience. I think a lot of times people kind of misunderstand what that actually means. Experience is not just, I got to have a 5-star rating in my customer experience surveys. What is it? I mean, what is somebody experience from the minute they show up to anytime they come in contact with your business or your people?
And that's right. And, continuing to reinforce the experience, takes time. We're working on several things to reinforce the experience. So the experience isn't, Joe's had a business for 15 years. He has experience. Well, that's true. That's not what we're talking about. It's the experience that all parties have in doing whatever it is you're doing. It's your customers from the time you answer the sales inquiry. Hey, I need help with social media marketing. How fast do I answer the phone? What do I tell them? How do I gather information about them? How polite I am, the words that I say when I hand it off to a staff member to prepare a proposal. What's in it? How's it formatted? How fast do we turn it around? It's the whole experience. It's the employee or the team member's experience. What's it like for them? It shows if you run a chop shop and your team's miserable.
Yeah.
You could, and we've seen that where externally, you're not allowed to look back in the kitchen. It's a sweatshop, but out front, we're all nice and rainbows and sunshine, and back in the back, everybody's miserable. It needs to be a consistent experience from start to finish, all the way to the time. I had sometimes we'll use freelancers for overflow work, and it's been a great business year. And one young lady was doing some graphics work for us, and I commended her. And if she's listening, she sent me an invoice for her time, and great experience as a single freelance graphics person. I got a PDF invoice with a link. I could click the link and pay the bill. It wasn't a mystery. Who do I send it was clean. It made it easy to conduct business, and it felt professional, knowing that she's, just doing it herself. And so you can have a great brand and an experience just, even as a solopreneur.
I want to share something with you guys. So you guys, John and Darren know this, but I don't know if you knew this, Joe. I was actually one of the leaders for the new Cricket Wireless. So AT&T bought Cricket. We closed the deal in 2014, and I was part of a startup business that actually went in and bought that brand. And it's funny because that was a real big case study on national branding, because Cricket Wireless, before we had done the acquisition, had a very poor brand. It was known as a down market wireless carrier, cheap, had really negative connotations. So we were super deliberate about brand and experience from top to bottom. But the one thing that I wanted to bring up that I think is interesting is we thought about experience not only with customers, but with employees, because you talked about this is not only experience for, external, but it's internal.
Absolutely.
So we went so far as to change the employment application process with AT&T. So they got different verbiage when they applied, because we were a very casual brand.
Yeah.
And we were very friendly, happy, fun brand. And we didn't want this, thank you for applying to
that. Yeah.
It was fun. And we even went as far as when we would bring people in for an interview from day one, actually from day zero, before they even came in, we would call them up and say, hey, I know you're applying for a 200,000 plus job, but if you wear a suit in here, you're going to get laughed at. So you're going to see people in shorts and jeans, and that's just
it's
who
being
we
fun
were.
and authentic, and the birds of a feather, sort of cliche. I mean, it's true. And when I hire prospective team members, first of all, I normally don't post a job opening. That's a very traditional thing to do. I'll plant a seed with a few people, and that normally brings the best results. And you can tell early on if they fit the vibe, and you get them to talk to other people, and because we want it to be a win-win. We don't, and so that's awesome. I did not know that about Cricket.
Here's the other thing too. So, and this is true story. I would call people and I would tell them, we're very casual. You're going to see people in shorts and jeans and t-shirts, and don't wear a suit.
Like Joe, just right now.
That's right.
Yeah. Wear your donut shoes, and we don't care. But
wear your donut shoes. Yeah.
We would tell people that, and we were very open and authentic about who we were. If you go to our social, you'd see pictures of us in our corporate office. Everybody's in jeans and shorts, and just, there's bean bags in the corner. If somebody showed up in a suit, I don't care. No hire. Wouldn't hire them.
Wow. Because
I was bringing my authentic self. I was bringing my authentic team, and I warned you, and you came in a suit.
They just didn't listen.
Yeah, but the whole point was we were built on authenticity. Nobody wants to wear a friggin' suit. They suck.
Yeah, most
Jesus
people don't.
Criminy, man.
Unless you're in the suit business, and there may be a few out there.
Yeah, sorry to all the Tom James reps. I apologize.
There you
I just had one come in yesterday.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and I've actually, started to tell people, because I assumed they would pick up on the vibe, but I've always said, hey, I'm just going to let you know. And I tell this to customers, too. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be wearing shorts and flip-flops and probably a Country Fried Creative T-shirt. And back to the brand, when we onboard somebody, we give them some corporate swag to wear. It's not a uniform. You can never put it on again. It's fine. But, we just try to be fun with it.
Now I have a question for you, because I do follow you on social, or your Instagram at least.
Which one, the personal one or the corporate one, or both? Yeah.
It's personal, I believe.
Yeah,
like the day you had your wife on your back and you took her all the way up Stone Mountain.
Yeah, that was actually my daughter.
That is insane.
Yeah.
First of all. Yeah. Get on my piggybacked his daughter all the way up Stone Mountain. You know the part where everybody's using the railing?
Yeah, I did do that. Yeah, it's Joe Dom.
You're a manimal.
At Joe Dom. Yeah, that's my personal Instagram. Yeah.
He's a manimal.
You are also a very dapper dresser. And I've seen some of it. You've got the bow tie, just not one time, but you have the bow ties. You've got the nice jackets. Is that part of your brand?
Yeah.
as Country Fried Creative, or is that part of your brand as
It's the
Joe Dom?
IBM leftover.
Yeah. No. So when you
baggage.
see the suit,
Mhm.
99% of the time it's either a wedding, a funeral, a formal occasion, and that's that. So for
Okay. So
example,
that's Joe.
I was honored, a couple years ago. I got the Chamber's Business Award. It's like their highest
Yeah.
award, and it's a big deal.
Yeah,
The
it is.
committee,
Sure is.
That's huge.
the committee is all the previous winners, and they get to pick whoever they want. There's no standard. It's just and that was suit worthy. And then last year, it's the privilege and probably the best honor. You get to award the next person who wins it. So I had to, that was a dignified thing. And I read out of a book. I had to read the winner's biography, right? And I didn't want to get it wrong. I mean, they're very impressive stuff there. So when the occasion presents itself, but I try to put a little spin on it. So it's a bow tie, not a tie,
Right.
or it's a jacket and slacks with no tie,
Or donut shoes.
or donut shoes, or Peachtree Road Race T-shirt, or Country Fried shirt, or whatever. So it's okay to still be authentic and true to your brand, and tweak it a little bit given the environment. You don't. I'm not going to go show up to
It's
Hawaiian shirt at a formal function.
right where I work. It's everybody's pretty much casual. Just jeans and golf shirts or whatever. But if you go to an internal interview, it's just a sign of respect. You just put a suit on.
Yeah,
Really.
and
everybody.
and it's okay. And I think another part of being authentic in a brand, I try not to get uptight about stuff. If somebody doesn't quite get it. So if they show up, and I tell them I'm going to be casual. We just picked up 3 interns. Today was their first day. Hello, interns, if you're listening. It's through the Fayette County school system. They get a grade. They work for me part-time. It's a real job. They're paid for it. I have a marketing intern, a graphic design intern, and a web development intern. One of them showed up to the interview. I get to interview them, and they were dressed really nice because that's what the school said. I don't care what Mr. Domaleski said. You need to show up, and it's okay. And I just said, hey, once you're on my payroll, you're good. You're good. So you're right. Sometimes that happens.
It's funny. I hear a lot of interested to hear your thoughts on this, but I hear a lot of people talk about brand and culture like they're two different things, but I think they're really synonymous, right?
I think they're absolutely the same thing. And and again, brand, vibe, experience, all those things are synonyms. And you get some people, and again, I try not to get uptight. There are people who have very rigorous formulaic definitions, and they make a big deal about that. And I let them go to town. I was on a digital marketing forum once, and I knew the panelists, and I knew one in particular just was very dogmatic. I think part of good branding and marketing is having flexibility. This individual had no flexibility. It was like, no, this is it. And you got to have some resilience and pliability with it, as long as it fits between the goalposts. Yeah.
So we've been sitting here talking about brand for a while, and we haven't at all talked about logo design, which kind of goes to the point that this is all about experience. It's all about emotion, feeling, connectivity, internal and external. And I think what we've probably done, if we've got anybody listening that is either starting a business or has a business running but has been thinking about brand, like I need to quote unquote rebrand or evolve my brand, it might feel intimidating. Like, where do I go from here? So if somebody were to come to you and say, Joe, I want to do something with my brand, I'm not exactly sure. Or I'm starting a business and we need a brand. What does that process look like?
That's an excellent question. And I'll go back to an earlier comment, and then I'll be more specific. And that is that there are multiple ways to get to the same place. So,
Sure.
If you're a large organization, you're going to do a study. You're going to charge a lot of money. You're going to ask a lot of people who may or may not be honest. Come in here and we're going to pay you $5 to taste test, or how does this make you feel, sort of thing. If you're a small organization and you can do this yourself, you don't have to pay somebody to create a brand guide or whatever. I talk to people all the time time. And, I get that you're bootstrapping, you're just starting up, it's okay to do this yourself. It's to me, it's as simple as, looking internally and externally, who are you? What are you about? Adjectives, verbs, just simple words. When we came up with Country Fried Creative, we came up with it in 4 hours. I locked a bunch of people in a room, fed them donuts. We're not leaving until we come up with a new name. And
you've got, it's Country Fried Creative, but the second C is very creative.
It is, and Janine did the logo, and she modernized. This is the we redid ourselves, last year. That's right, we iterated, and it gets better over time. There you hear this, and so when you're trying to craft your brand, it's not too unlike why do I want to start a business? It's some introspection, and let's be realistic. You can have a great idea, but there's got to be a market for it, and so
right.
you kind of have to say, okay, this is what I'm good at or what I want to do. Who would pay me to do this? What do they look like? How old are they? What are their family attributes? Where are they located? What are their interest levels? And that sort of thing. So I use this phrase too often, be directionally correct. It's okay to you may be a standard deviation or two away. See, there's that math degree. I got to work that in there.
Deviation.
As long as you're
you're not 2 standard deviations.
That's right.
Beyond
There's the
the mean.
95% there.
Right.
2 standard deviations for the math nerds out
Bit
there.
of a math nerd here.
That's right. Awesome. I knew we would get along
Yep.
good. it just has come out. It's only taken the whole
I think
podcast.
Joe did very well in his compass courses in the Rangers.
Yes.
I did, and to this day, I still like doing orienteering and land nav. That's a subject for another time.
And
We'll
your
talk about
ham
it there.
radio.
Well,
guy,
we do
too,
the two
aren't you?
together, where we go
See?
find hidden radio transmitters. It's a real geeky thing. It's actually pretty fun.
That's
You guys have
pretty
pulled
geeky.
him so far down the rabbit hole. I don't know where we've started.
Well, we're talking about branding and the process. So I'll get us out of the
A, B,
rabbit
C, D, E,
rabbit
F,
hole.
G. Pick one.
So
Look at your notes.
yeah. So looking introspective, external. I'd say this: don't worry about your competitors, entrepreneurs. They'll take care of themselves. I don't even know. I know some of who they are, and we all get along pretty good, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
You will find your audience if you're authentic and you go out there and you tweak it and refine it. The right people will come to you, and you'll know it when the wrong people do, and there's somebody else who can help them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Country Fried Creative, if somebody's interested in talking to you guys about brand or really anything
Sure.
digital creative, website development, how can they find you guys?
Well, the beauty of what we do is we take our own medicine, right? So the things we tell people to do to get found, we try to be easy to be found. So, one way is your good old search engine. If you do a search, web design Peachtree City, we're normally the first result. And that's deliberate. It's organic. It's organic,
Nice.
And that's for various reasons. Call me, make an appointment. I'll tell you why that is. We might be number 3 in a month. That doesn't care, but we're easy to get. We're easy to be found. countryfriedcreative.com is the website. I take cell phone calls. You can call me on my cell phone 678-464-9016, and be happy to talk with you. And I'll give you an hour of time. We'll figure out how we can help it. Social media, just Country Fried Creative, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think we have a Pinterest. I don't know. That's Janine's bailiwick. Most of my employees are female. Actually, it just worked out that way. So we have a Pinstagram, which tends to skew more toward women, and so that's how you can find us. We're active in the community.
So as long as you can remember the name Country Fried Creative, they'll have no problem finding you.
No problem whatsoever.
It's hard to forget.
What about the blimp that you don't have one of those?
That's in the
No, that's just Mr.
2020
Winnie.
marketing plan. Yeah. The hot air that was in this room. No, I thought Darren was the hot air. I was giving him an attaboy. And
It's Mr. Winnie after too many stouts,
yeah.
just wallowing around in the hallway.
I think y'all talked about hot air last week too.
Well, there's a lot of hot air in here.
yeah. Where's the vent?
So before you leave, one last question.
Sure.
Proudest moment as an entrepreneur?
I'll go back to that business award and give me 60 seconds to share that story because it actually made me cry. I was asked to go to the chamber banquet because I had created a new website for an initiative, Fayette Visioning Initiative, and some people out there know what that is. And our chamber president at the time, Joe, we really want you to come to the banquet. And what happens is when you're on a board of an organization, you roll off. There's term limits on there.
Sure.
You kind of, okay, I need a break. I've gone to all the ribbon cuttings and the grand openings and the meetings. I need a break. So I'd kind of fallen away from the chamber a little bit. We really want you to come to the meeting. And I didn't want to go, guys. And I had a bad day. And I put on the suit and I showed up. And the way they do the award, it's the last award. And they start reading, it's kind of like This Is Your Life. They start reading your biography without naming your name. Mm-hmm. And they got about halfway through it, and I'm like, I need to meet this guy. Sounds a lot like me. And,
dude.
And for those of you that are listening that were there, I mean, it's really a cool moment because you have no idea. It's a surprise, and they got to the very end, and this year's outstanding business person, Joe Domaleski, and I was like, crying, turn around, your family is here. And I look back in the room and, they pulled the kids out of school. Wife was there, got off of work and dressed to the nines. And even in the picture that was taken, I'm like a deer in the headlights. And it was so cool because it was a peer award. It's not something you're nominated for. It's not something you can apply for. And a friend of mine, came up to me afterward and said, Joe, you're one of the good guys. Congratulations. And I just lost it.
No, that's awesome.
Good. It's really cool.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you coming on the show.
Hey, thanks, guys.
This has been an awesome conversation. I hope we've stimulated people to think about brand differently because it's deeper than most people give it credit for.
It is, and it can be simple. It's just being authentic.
Yep. And I think the simplicity, I've often said this over the years, simplicity is way harder than complexity.
Without a doubt.
So you've got, I'm telling you, you take 5 things you love in a strategy and somebody says, okay, now pick the 2.
It's hard.
But 5 of them are awesome. Yeah, but pick 2. So simplicity gets difficult, but I think you're absolutely right. And if your brain isn't stimulated at this point, you either drank too much, and so you need to listen to the podcast again, or maybe check your pulse, go to the doctor.
Just remember, you don't have to order off of Joe's menu.
You can ask the chef.
That's right. Chef special.
Folks, we want to remind you, don't be an idiot. Don't drink and drive.
Ever.
And we'll see you next week.